Hey, what's up you guys, it's Sophie, and today I am going to be talking about colleges and how to choose what college to go to. Of course, you guys always seem to like my college-related videos, and I hope you guys find this helpful, so let's just jump right into it. I'm kind of just going to go through a checklist of things to keep in mind when you are choosing what school to go to, or even just choosing what school to apply to, and the first one is size. I know a lot of people usually apply to a bunch of schools in kind of a range of sizes, because that's just how things work out, but you definitely want to consider this because especially if you are on a closed campus, you know, like I'm not on a closed campus, so it doesn't, the size of NYU never really translates, but if you are on a closed campus, you're going to notice if you are on a massive campus, obviously, or a smaller one, so that's definitely something to keep in mind in terms of you know, how big of a campus, how small of a student body, that sort of thing. Next is major, and definitely take this with a grain of salt because chances are your major might change over the course of college. Even if you think you know exactly what you want to do, plenty of people end up changing their majors. So but if you are in something very specific, in a very specific field, obviously you are going to be wanting to look at schools that specifically, you know, cater to that field. Like if you're going to study acting, you know, obviously, I only know NYU, so you would look at NYU Tisch, for example. But obviously, you want to be considering schools that are really strong in your major, you know, have really strong professors, classes that you're super interested in, everything, you know, related to your major, but definitely take that with a grain of salt because a lot of people end up switching their majors. Next is location, and the first thing to keep in mind might be a city versus a more rural school or suburban school. So like I knew I definitely wanted to be in a city. There were only one or two schools that I applied to that were not in a city, and that was just really what I wanted, and it's definitely something that you need to consider if you are thinking about job opportunities, internships. You want to be thinking about the location that you're in, especially because there are two sides to this where I feel like you might want to choose a city that you could actually see yourself living in because you might end up getting a job there from an internship, but on the other hand, you might also want to choose a city that you think you would never live in otherwise. That way you get the chance to live there during college and then you would move back to where you're from or move to somewhere else. So there are sort of two sides to that, but it's definitely important to consider, especially when you're thinking about your future job opportunities. Branching off of that, you want to think about your school's reputation in terms of, or not even reputation, your school's, you know, abilities in terms of internship and job opportunities. This was something that I considered very heavily in terms of choosing a school in New York City because I wanted to intern during my time in college and as well as over the summer, so that way that I could get jobs after college. So I chose New York City specifically for that reason. I was also looking at LA, you know, big cities like that, especially because I'm studying media. So you want to maybe consider, you know, your school's abilities to place you in internships, place you in jobs. How's the career center? How's the, you know, the placement rate? You know, what kind of internships usually, you know, like you can see sometimes certain schools will match up with certain companies and a lot of kids from that school work at that company, so you can see that sort of thing. And just something to consider overall are the internship opportunities while you're at school. Obviously, cost is a factor. Don't think I need to talk about that one. The next one is to look at the extracurriculars of your school. Are you interested in sorority and frat life? Are you interested in joining a team at school? Are you interested in attending sports games? Are you interested in a certain type of club? You can find all that sort of information on your school's website. Obviously, some schools have huge, you know, frat and sorority life. Sports are really big, and other schools don't prioritize that at all. So if those are things that you know that you want to be a part of, you definitely should consider that. Like, for example, my school, NYU, sororities and frats are treated like any other normal club, and sports are not a huge deal here, versus like my boyfriend goes to Duke, sports are everything, frat and sorority life is everything. You know, you want to consider those things if you know you want to be a part of that or specifically don't want to be a part of that. Next is dorm styles. This obviously should be pretty low on your list in terms of factors, but like for here, all of the dorms have their own bathrooms. You don't have to deal with communal bathrooms. You might want to consider if you can get a single, if you can get a double, if you get a triple, you know, those sorts of things. If you are specifically introverted, specifically extroverted, those are definitely things to keep in mind, although they should be pretty low on your list in terms of considering schools. Make sure that when you're applying and when you're choosing, you are choosing from a pool of, you know, reach schools, safety schools, and just right schools. That way you can have a really wide range and make sure that you are choosing every, you know, considering every factor. And my last piece of advice when choosing a college to go to is try to speak to somebody firsthand who attends that college. I know this may be difficult, but maybe somebody that you knew in high school, or even if you can just find somebody online online, it is definitely helpful to speak to somebody who goes to the college that you are considering. Those are all of my tips in terms of what to consider when you are choosing a school. I hope you found them helpful. If you have any other tips, please leave them in the comments, as well as any questions you have. I'll try to answer any questions that I can, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!